Sup everyone, it's Matt, ESC United, your favorite Eurovision channel, and today I'm going to give you some Mattitudes. So welcome to our first live stream of the 2019 season. And I know what you're going to say. Matt, it's 2018, mid-August, WTF. Well, let me remind you, if you were there with us in beautiful Lisbon throughout those weeks, I promised you I will do whatever I can if it's within my power to help you with your PED, your post-Eurovision depression. And that is what I'm doing here. So, you're welcome. So anyway, what are we going to do here, you may be asking? Well, thank you for that question, first of all. That's a good question to ask. But going forward, we will have this weekly get-together. So on a weekly basis, at least during the off-season of the ESC off-season, and then as we approach the busy months, then of course this will increase significantly. Then we'll be on a lot more than that. But for now, it's once a week, and we'll talk about, guess what? Eurovision. Yes, it's still early, but there are plenty of news out there to talk about, so that is what we're going to focus on. Discuss the news of the week and do Q&As at the end, so make sure to subscribe to our channel, as I will be posting more information on a regular basis and it'll show up in your subscription feed. By the way, I ordered a new microphone. It's right here to the side, which is supposed to be here today, but it didn't arrive. So I will have it by Monday. That will probably improve the sound quality significantly. So in the meantime, just bear with me, will ya? So we'll also have guests going forward in the near future, so you don't just have to look at me nonstop. As we get closer, we will talk about national finals, but that's not today. By the way, hi everyone in the chat room. I will be checking in as much as humanly possible, so make sure to say hi, and I'll keep an eye out as much as I can. I just have a couple of windows open, and my eyes kind of keep wandering back and forth. But I'll do the best I can to keep an eye on it. In the meantime, let's delve right into this. Feel free to post your questions, and we'll stop after each topic, and then I'll also do like a few questions at the very end as well. And then let's get this thing started. So the first thing we're going to talk about, I think we know what we're going to talk about first. It's the hosting situation with Israel. In case you don't know what's going on, I'll just give you a quick rundown because we don't have that much kind of time. Israel, as we all know, won the contest this year, right, with Netas Toy. And winning the contest comes with a big honor of hosting the contest. At least you have the right. You get the first dips at hosting the contest. And Israel was like, yeah, sure, we'll do it. Right? But then they were also already in the process of picking a host city. That already was a lot of drama, but we're not going to go into that right now. But as of right now, we're going through the bidding process where we'll find out which city is going to host the contest as well as the dates. And we'll have an answer by September, which is next month, right? So this is all easy and good, right? So far, so good. But this is what happened last week. So his name is Gil Omer. I hope I did say that right. So he's the chairman of the Board of Broadcasting Corporation, and he contacted the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as well as the Finance Minister and threatened to forfeit the Eurovision Song Contest hosting rights in Israel to the EBU. He said that, I'm going to do that. Yeah, the reason for that is, ka-ching, money, right? The broadcaster does not have the money to fund the guarantee. So let me explain to you what it is. So the EBU asked Israel for a hosting guarantee, which is basically a security deposit, if you will. Basically, they have to pay 12 million euros up front, and that is required for them to, as the name indicates, guarantee hosting. So they have to pay it, and in case they decide or can't host the contest, even after they pay, the EBU will keep the money and will possibly take away hosting rights from Israel. So that would be a lose-lose situation for them, for sure. So anyway, get back to Gil Omer. The Prime Minister, he said, I would have to forfeit the hosting, and the reason for that is the broadcaster does not have the money, and he's relying on the government to help out. However, the Finance Minister was not budging, saying, nope, we're not going to do that. Khan, the broadcaster, has to come up with the funds themselves. Then Khan said in return that we don't have that kind of money, dude. We don't. We would have to lay off 200 employees and make significant cuts to current and future programming. It's just not feasible, right? So a battle of the words and accusation ensued. It went back and forth and back and forth, and I'm not going to bore you with all the details. August 14th was the deadline for Israel to pay the guarantee. And 24 hours prior to that date, we still didn't have a confirmed transfer or an answer to what's going on, right? So initially, in case you didn't know, the original deadline was already August 1st, but the EBU was kind enough to push out the deadline 2 weeks, so August 14th became the new date. So that was pretty scary, right? So at the very end, the last minute, the broadcaster and the government / finance minister came to an agreement. So this is what's going to happen. Khan will pay the 12 million euros. Actually, they will take out a loan to pay for that. That is significant. Keep in mind, in return, the finance minister guaranteed that should Israel be unable to host the contest for unforeseen circumstances, such as a significant boycott or, God forbid, war or anything that is out of their hands, then the finance minister, the government, would reimburse Khan the $12 million. So they're not going to sit with that big fine on their own, right? That was their biggest issue. That was their agreement. And as far as we know, the money has been transferred to the EBU. That's the most recent update we have. And that means that we believe that as of right now, Eurovision Israel is a thumbs up. Thumbs up from us. That's the first significant, not the first, but one of the significant hurdles that they had to overcome. Now, there are a lot of people out there amongst the fans, or some voices saying, it was always clear that Israel was going to host the contest. That was all just part of negotiation. Israel would never give up hosting Eurovision. So let's talk of this through, and I'm going to ask you as well in just a second. But first, my thoughts. I didn't see that happening either. At least the 2 parts here. It's a fantastic opportunity for Israel to showcase their hospitality and show the world, hey, we can do that. We are this new, fun, modern country. Come to us. So I was confident that they would do whatever it takes. However, there's a but. A big but. I don't know why I'm showing like it's an actual but. But the reality is that there's a large conflict between Khan, the broadcaster, and Benjamin Netanyahu. We could talk about this for hours. I will not open that can of worms. But basically, Netanyahu wanted more control over the broadcaster and wasn't even in favor of them even going on air before they even started airing first last year in 2017. He actually put forward legislation saying that to break out certain parts from Khan, such as like the news portion of it, that was stalled in the courts, and that would have caused, some issues with the EBU. But again, I'm not opening that can of worms. Let's stay out of that one. The point is, Netanyahu and Khan, they don't get along. And it was a clear power play and could have ended really badly with the Eurovision being a casualty. What else? So they could have easily lost hosting. I think they really could have lost the hosting rights. The EBU didn't have to extend the deadline, right? They could have just said, nope, you don't have it today, you're gone. But they didn't. I'm thrilled, don't get me wrong. I'm thrilled they get to host, but I don't believe it was an act, and it was never an issue. It was a problem. I'm excited about my country, that I get to travel to the country of honey and milk. That is so cool. And they won the contest, they should host it. It's just what it is, right? We don't want to have it differently. It's just part of Eurovision. And the Israeli fans, a lot of them are my friends, were getting so angsty, and I can't say I blame them. It would have really sucked for them. Now, I'm sure there are more hurdles that they need to overcome, but I'm fairly confident that Israel will comply and ensure that Eurovision will travel to the Middle East. Now, it was nerve-wracking, but I would like to hear from you guys. I'm going to look at the questions. What do you guys think? Let me know if you have any questions or comments in regards to the hosting rights, etc. As said, we'll find out next month what city What city we will be traveling to. Jerusalem, the de facto host city at first. Netanyahu announced it. Netta screamed during the show, "See you in Jerusalem next year." But as of right now, it looks like Tel Aviv may be the front runner. which would be a dream city for me. So please, God, may that happen. Let it happen. So I'm looking at what you guys have to say here. I have a couple of questions coming in. The first one I have here from Moin Moin. When you think about the 2019 Eurovision, do you feel confident or worried? I kind of answered that somewhat with my response right now. As far as I feel confident, I do understand that Israel wants to host it. They really want that exposure. It's only going to help them. So I know with all the political boycotts and all of that stuff going on, but just looking at Israel, it's in their own best interest. So as long as they comply with the whole Shabbat thing, as you know, you cannot do any kind of work between Friday sundown to Saturday night. So that would not work with the rehearsal schedule, the jury shows, the individual rehearsals and all of that stuff. So having it in Jerusalem would make it more difficult, right? So that's why Tel Aviv became like the front runner. But I am I'm fairly optimistic that we are good to go on that one. So yeah, that is my opinion. So I feel fairly good about it, and we'll see how it goes. If you're watching this live in the chat and you want to have a question, make sure you do @ESC United so your question pops out. Otherwise, I will not see it, or like it's very difficult to follow along. I'm looking at there right now. There are a lot of comments. Let's see here. How many countries confirmed their participation in ESC 2019 so far? Anton Diachuk. That is the next topic I'm going to talk about. Don't steal my thunder here. So I'm going to move on to that one in a second. Let's see here. The questions that I'm looking here for. Okay, there's one more. What is your favorite Israeli Eurovision entry? Well, since we're talking about Israel hosting, I may as well answer that. How am I going to answer that? I think I need to look at the new century and the old century at least, because it's just there are too many songs. As of 2000, I would definitely put 2005 really high up on my list. What else? I love Golden Boy and I love Netta. I think these are my three favorites so far, in my opinion. And then before that, there were a bunch of them that I loved. Whether it's Khan, da 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 da. I loved 1995. Amen. That was really cool. Hallelujah, the winner. There are so many good songs, so I cannot just narrow it down to one song. So let's see if I'm going to move on. I don't want to spend too much time on each topic. Hopefully, again, you're all happy about that. So I see people saying, wait, Israel finally paid? Yes, all we know is they paid, so hopefully we'll be fine. So let's see if any other questions. I know there's always a slight delay with the stream and when the questions pop up on my screen. So that is. So one thing we need a 2019 LED. Someone's saying. I loved 2018. As far as like no LEDs, but hear me. And only because it really, really made the delegations think twice as hard and being creative. That's why we had more props. And I think it really makes people like, okay, let's do something, and be more like, we cannot rely on the big back screen. I love LEDs, so I would like to have them back as well, but I like it switching it up. Like 1 year LEDs, 1 year less LEDs, 1 year no LEDs, because in 2017, as awesome as it looked, it became very self-indulgent. People having their faces up all big, and it's like, oh, I can't look at that anymore. So hopefully that will change. So do you think it's going to be a diversity that was in 2018? That is my hope. 2018 was a diverse country in far as songs quality is concerned, so I hope that's going to continue. Dance Web is saying Jerusalem has the bigger arena and TLV has a small convention center. I know everybody prefers Tel Aviv, including me, but will they manage with such a small venue? Dance Web, that's a good question. And yes, Tel Aviv's arena is smaller than the one in Jerusalem, clearly. However, keep in mind, it meets the minimum criteria set by the EBU, and that is what it comes down to. Would they prefer a larger arena? Probably. But as I pointed out, there are other criteria that come into play. The Shabbat. And I think just from a political perspective, it would be way easier to be in Tel Aviv. And it will be fine. Yes, tickets will be gone like that. But Malmö in 2013 wasn't that much bigger, and some other cities. So I've seen it before. It can work. And yes, there will be a big run for the tickets. But here it goes. And then one more question before I move on to the next topic. Linden ESC said, this Canadian Israel billionaire who offered to help financing the staging, does the EBU allow private investing? That is a very good question. I don't think that they want to get that kind of involved. I mean, they have private investing, they have sponsors and all of that stuff. You know, when they the official sponsor of this particular business. Sorry. So they do stuff like that, but as far as like a person, like, let's say I'm a billionaire, spoiler alert, I'm not. But if I can say, hey, here is 2 million or like whatever, here I'm helping with the hosting. I don't know. I'm sure there's some kind of way around, but I don't know the exact answer to that. So let's move on to the next topic because, you know, this one is good news. Let's keep on moving on. And somebody already brought it up. How many countries will take part in Eurovision 2019? I have a few notes here, so I'll keep looking on down on them. The question is, how many are taking part? I don't know. Next question. No, seriously, this is what's going on right now. So several countries have already announced their intent to take part in the contest, while others have already said that they will not take part. Let's go for them. As of right now, no country has withdrawn, meaning no country that had took part in 2018 has said that they won't be back next year. That doesn't mean that they will confirm. I'm just saying no one has announced their intent to just leave. The most recent news is Monaco announced a couple of days ago that they will not return to the contest in 2019. The last time they took part was in 2006, I believe, and we miss them dearly. Hopefully you will be back soon. Unfortunately, that means that it's less and less likely for a country to return to the contest that is currently not taking part, that is. Monaco is out, Turkey is out, Andorra is out, so is Slovakia, Bosnia-Herzegovina, and Luxembourg. Am I missing one? Those are the countries I think that, you know. Liechtenstein will not debut in 2019 either, so that's out. The only country that currently could make a surprise debut is Kazakhstan. I did a video about that, just search our page if you need to. The EBU gave a cryptic message, but since they are now taking part in Junior Eurovision, there's obviously a theory that they could also join the adult version. Again, I am not holding my breath. I think it's unlikely, at least in 2019. So at this point, we don't expect any countries to return to the contest, right? And no country to debut. In 2018, 43 countries took part, and I believe that is as high as it can go in 2019, which is still a fantastic number. I'm not boo-booing on that, but I don't think it'll go up. But it could go down. Some countries may withdraw. Some organizations, individuals have called for broadcasters to boycott the contest, as we talked about, due to the political reasons. So only time will tell who will actually follow through, although I hope no one will. By the way, I don't know if you were aware of how it works, but the maximum number of participants to take part in Eurovision is 46. So we never reached that number, and we'll cross that bridge when we get to it if I hit that number. So up to 20 participants in each semi, then plus the Big Five who are directly qualified, Germany, France, Spain, Italy, and the United Kingdom. And then the host nation also pre-qualified. This case, it's Israel. So that's the highest number. So far, I believe, if I counted it correctly, 14 countries have confirmed that they would take part in Eurovision next year. Now, don't freak out. Don't freak out. That's a low number. That's very common. They'll all confirm soon. Countries have until September 15th to confirm their intent to take part in the contest. But not only that, they still have the ability to withdraw by October 10th without facing some kind of penalty. At that point, they will have to take part or face significant financial penalties at that point, and potentially the ability to lose their right to take part in the contest for a set number of years. Let's see who else. Australia. I'm sure you are aware that Australia is not technically an active EBU member. They're only here due to an invitation from the EBU, right? They have required a special invitation every single year, and they have received it every single year since their debut in 2015. We expect the same to be the case in 2019. I don't see the EBU saying, we're done with you, Australia. We don't have an official answer, so but I'm fairly confident in my prediction and say, see you in Israel, Australia. So let's go through the countries that, as far as I understand, have confirmed their participation. Sweden, not a surprise, obviously, but there were some voices within the Swedish political world that called for a boycott because of Israel, blah, blah, blah. But Sweden said, no, we're in. Denmark confirmed. Norway confirmed. Cyprus, after second place, no surprise. Malta with their X Factor national final. Germany, after fourth place, duh. Serbia, Latvia, Lithuania, Israel, would be kind of weird if the host city wouldn't be there. France, Switzerland, Belgium, and Ireland. Ireland, not a surprise, but a minor relief because there was a lot of talk going on also about boycotting it. Certain individuals and organizations spoke up about not going to Israel. But the broadcaster fortunately didn't listen, and they are going to be there. Quick question before I move on. Do you know which countries have confirmed? I just said that right now. Do you think the Czech Republic can also good result next year, or will they fail? It always does. If they send a good song, they will do well. It's not because it's the Czech Republic. You know what I mean? Like, people are like, well, they'll never do well. No, they have proven it this year, so they can do it. So let's see here. The other countries, by the way, several other countries had also voiced their intent to take part, but without an official announcement. We should expect them, though, in Israel. That includes Bulgaria, Croatia, Czech Republic, Estonia, Finland, Poland, San Marino, and Ukraine. They have provisionally said, yes, we're going to be there. So that is good news. Hope I didn't miss anyone. Let's go for the ones that I was talking about. Iceland, RUV, is going to stage a meeting deciding if they would boycott the event, following calls from Icelandic fans. They had like this big petition going on, and now they're actually officially reviewing it if they should or should not take part. I believe that they're going to be there, but that is still not confirmed. In the UK, some Liberal Democrat Party supporters have called upon the party and the UK government to boycott the event for the same reasons. Again, it's the UK. They have not officially confirmed yet, but honestly, I expect both of them to return. Again, post your questions. I'll go get to them in just a second. Make sure at ESC United so I can see them. UK has only missed 2 contests, and that was in the 50s, right? They've always taken part. Iceland is reviewing participation, but I will eat a broom if they don't go. And that is a German expression that makes 0 sense when you translate it, but I love using it anyway. So that is where we're at with far as the confirmation is concerned. Somebody asking, do you miss Billy? Billy was our favorite fire extinguisher, and I miss him dearly. We have to find his cousin in Israel. Hopefully they will be there. Austria will definitely participate, Lyndon says. Yes, I agree. As I said, most of them will return, so don't freak out. We're just going forward. Morocco didn't confirm a withdrawal. Lek M said, that's true. They have not confirmed a withdrawal, but they never do. They just don't show up. Do you know what I mean? Like, they only took part once, 38 years ago, and they're not going to, in Israel, out of all countries, no. People asking any potential withdrawals in 2019 except those we know already. I point out Iceland and UK, but I don't see it happening. As far as any other countries could withdraw, you could make a case for FYR Macedonia. They're just not doing well, and it's always a financial burden, but I think they'll be back. I'm trying to think any other country that could potentially be like, oops, surprise, we're not going. I just don't see it happening. I would be shocked. I just don't see any other country. Maybe I'm just being too optimistic. Which country, Country Grapefruit is asking, which country would you love the most to return? Well, obviously, Slovakia. It feels always weird having that big chunk of land in the center of Europe, and they're not taking part, right? But I also want Bosnia and Herzegovina back, but they cannot afford it. But technically, because they've provided some really good music. So I like countries with larger populations because it affects more fans. So that is what I want to talk about. I'm hoping. So next question. Olivia MacArthur. I wonder if any countries are waiting for venue confirmation to avoid performing in Jerusalem. Could be, Olivia. Could be. But as I said, it's not uncommon if you paid attention previously and prior to the confirmation process. This is as normal as it goes every year, whether or not it's in Israel. It could be that some countries are holding out. That is probably why Tel Aviv is now the front runner. Can Kosovo return? Okay, I didn't bring up Kosovo right now. Who asked that? Eurovision Sion. Because it's always a politically charged topic, right? So I'll bring it up anyway. because now that you brought it up, Kosovo is definitely interested in taking part in the contest, but they would have to be first part of the EBU, right? And they're currently not. Was allegedly a vote that would come up in December, but it's highly unlikely that this will go through. And there is a lot of misperceptions as far as like can they not take part because Israel is not acknowledging them. If they're in the EBU, they kind of have to take part. Turkey didn't recognize Cyprus, right? The whole situation in Cyprus took part in Turkey. So that's not how it works. But if they meet the criteria, it doesn't matter. But I don't think that the vote will go through, and I don't think that they will make it. Next questions. As far as the participations are concerned, do you think Turkey will ever come back MHTA? I will answer that in a question because the third topic will be about Turkey. Questions, let's see here. What do you think of Electro Velvet's Eurovision 2019 on Twitter? I haven't heard about that. I wasn't on Twitter yesterday a whole lot, so I need to follow up. I think they had their shot. That's what I'm saying. Why? UK never brings back acts. Okay, one more question, then I'm moving on to the next topic. World Sasuri says, from all Latvian entries, who didn't qualify? Which do you think the most needed to qualify? I would have to go for the list. I love cake. I got a cake to bake. I know, people are like, what? I just love that song. But I would have to go for the list. That's the first one that comes to mind. I feel like I'm burping. I'm trying not to burp. So this is, if Tunisia didn't ban Israeli content, would they be eligible to participate? Tunisia is technically eligible to take part in the contest because they are a member of the EBU. Now, as you pointed out, they will not take part, certainly not in Israel. They haven't taken part ever. Why would they come to the contest when it's actually in Israel? And one of the rules is you have to broadcast the entire darn thing. If you don't, you cannot take part. It was actually, in case you didn't know, the whole China definitely censored this year's contest, in case you haven't heard. They didn't show Albania's performance, and they didn't show Ireland's performance. Ireland, because, two guys dancing, the whole gay thing, they don't, they can't have that, so they blocked that. But they also didn't show Albania because there is a rule about not showing tattoos. So they didn't show that either. So the EBU pulled their license right away. Good for them. Not that they're taking part, but, you have to show everything. If you want the license, you show everything. So I'm going to move. One more question, actually, and then I move on. Royal Pilot 116, do you want a new country to win, a country that has never won before, or a country that has won before? If so, which one? Now, here comes the bias as a person that travels to Eurovision every year. I want a country to win that has never won since 2011. That was the first time I went. I would love to see new countries. It's horrible. I have become the worst Eurovision fan of all time. Because I stopped rooting for the best songs, but for the countries I want to visit, regardless of the song. Not really. Of course I'm rooting for the best songs. Austria was my favorite this year, and I just went there, so I was rooting for Cesar. But there's always that thing, oh man, when it came down to Israel and Cyprus, I'm like, I'm good. I'd love to go to both places, so whoever wins, I'm good. So that's how it goes. But if I could pick a country right now, like regardless of the song, Israel would have been high up on my list anyway, so that's now done. I don't have to worry about that. I want to go to either ex-Yugoslavian countries, like I would love to go to Croatia, so I'm always rooting for Croatia. I would love to go to Greece, so those kind of countries. So as far as I just go by what I want to see, because I get to do the whole touristy stuff. All right, let's move on to the third topic, and then I will have another Q&A session, and then we'll talk, and at some point we'll wrap this up. But this is just the first one, the first live stream, and then we'll have more fun with more people on there and more dialogue. We're just getting the balls rolling here. The third one I wanted to talk about is about something that didn't happen last week, like the week prior, but I get questions all the time on social media, so I addressed it one last time. Already did one video. I'll do this one here right now, and that is about Turkey, right? So as I mentioned, Turkey is not taking part in Eurovision. Definitely announced that they will not be back in 2019. The last time we saw them was in 2012, and this is what happened. The guy's name is Ibrahim Aaron, the head of TRT, he made some disparaging comments towards the contest and one particular artist. And this is what he said when it comes to taking part. I'm going to read that to you. We don't consider to rejoin the contest. We have reasons like the voting system. As a public broadcaster, we also cannot broadcast live at 9 p.m. when children are still awake. Someone like the bearded Austrian who wore a skirt do not believe in genders and says that he is both a man and a woman. Obviously, he's referring to der Conchita Wurst from Austria, the winner from 2014. And he also said, I've told the European Broadcasting Union on the Eurovision issue that they have deviated from their values. As a result, other countries also left Eurovision. No, they haven't. And there is a mental chaos at the EBU because of its executives. If they can fix it, we can join Eurovision again. Okay. Anyway, so the EBU was kind enough to respond to these statements. So, this is what they said. The Eurovision Song Contest's values are of universality and inclusivity, using big words here, and our proud tradition of celebrating diversity through music. TRT has made huge contribution to the contest in the past, including hosting the event in Istanbul in 2004, and we would very much welcome them back should they decide to participate again. That, to me, my friends, was the most diplomatic response that I have ever seen in my entire life. I'm going to translate that for you. First of all, kudos to the EBU for keeping their cool, but basically what they're saying is, yeah, we don't like that kind of language that you're using, but if you change your mind and you play along, feel free to come back. That's basically what they're saying. And you know me, I'm a really nice guy, right? But my response wouldn't be as nice. Wouldn't have been as nice. I guess there's a reason why I'm not working at the EBU. Well, plus I live on the other side of the country, which that's besides the fact, though. I mean, let's be real here. Mr. Aaron's response was douchey, to say the least, right? There are a lot of things I don't like or agree with, but that was just plain rude and condescending, has no place in Eurovision. And I also want to be clear, though. A lot of fans were really upset. That does not or should not reflect on the Turkish fans. They are just as upset as we are, probably more upset. So many message me saying, Matt, we don't feel that way. That's just a few stupid people at the top. Yes. And they're absolutely right. They're absolutely right. And we need to be careful because our first instinct is often, well, with that attitude, I don't want Turkey in Eurovision. But I do want Turkey in Eurovision. I really do, just for the fans' sake. We're talking about millions of people. I mean, I get it. If the broadcaster doesn't play along, not much we can do about it. But it sucks. It just really does. For Turkish fans. It must feel like a stab, like, oh, no, now Eurovision is even another step further back. Oh, man, it's not looking good. It's clearly not in the spirit of Eurovision, regardless of what you may think of Conchita. If you have any thoughts or comments about Turkey, make sure you post them and use @ESC United so I know that they stand out. So basically, Turkey wants Eurovision to be like their own Eurovision with that Turkvision thing, right? They do what they have to, I guess. That is part of your freedom to put together your own contest. I worry about Eurovision and maybe Asiavision if that ever comes to fruition. But yeah, that is their prerogative, I guess, if they want to do that. But we're here with the Turkish fans. We love you. And again, let me know if you have any questions about the Turkish situation. I really don't enjoy talking about it. It's just a really unfortunate situation. But hey, there's this big, big elephant in the room. I guess we can't ignore. But I just want to let you know that I am with the fans from Turkey. And I don't know what to say to you, but I'm sorry. This just sucks. It's not your fault. Mr. Lel said, UK has used 6-act national finals for 3 years now, giving 2 24th and 1 15th places. Is it time that the BBC took this further and maybe introduced a wider selection of Melodifestivalen approach? Yes. Not just only that, and here's my thing, they need to play around because the current system isn't working. I'm glad they have a national final now, but there's one thing that the BBC needs to do and stop with the lack of transparency. They announce the winner like Siri won, Lucy won, but we have no idea how the juries voted, how the televoters voted. They don't want to take accountability. Take accountability. And this hush-hush thing, that bothers me more than anything else. Just saying. I have a dream that one day Romania will win the contest. Flavius97. So here's the thing. I know Germany won in 1982 the first time, but I wasn't around back then. I remember actually in 2009, after Norway won, I was telling my friends here, if Germany ever wins in my lifetime, which is unlikely with the crappy music that they're sending, I will have to go to Eurovision. And then the next year we won. Unlikely, but it happened. So that's how I ended up doing all of this anyway. But you never give up. It will happen. It's not a matter of if, but when. It's just the right combination has to happen. With, a jury-like song liked by the juries and the televoters. If Israel can't host for some reason, who do you think should host? I think maybe a draw between countries who never hosted before, but HBU. I don't know what HBU means. Help, but umbrella. Now, personally, I think it should be given to Cyprus, but now we're in a time crunch, so that may not be feasible. It's a small country, and they may not have enough time. So maybe pass it down the line would be my preferred. So give it to Cyprus. If Cyprus says no, then give it to Austria, then give it to Germany, and so on. I know that's not going to happen. That's not how the EBU, they have to look at, due to the time constraints now. Probably a Big Five country will get it. That would be my guess. Next question. If Austria wins again, Conchita will host. Now this for sure, so Turkey better stay out. Oh, Conchita, I liked her as the Green Room host. What I like about Conchita is that she's very empathetic. That's the word I'm looking for. Like, she cares about people. I remember 2015 made me so mad when the audience booed Polina, Russia singer, when she was doing really well, and she was crying in the room, and Conchita, out of all people, walked up to her and was like, you know what? You deserve more than anyone else to be in that position. Not being booed, but actually be in the lead. I should be clear about that. And she was so that's who she is as a person, and that is why she is awesome. Regardless of what you may think of the act of Conchita, the person itself, so much heart. So we're going to ask a few more questions here. I'm going to answer a few more questions. Because these are the news of the week so far, the biggest ones. The hosting, the number of participants have changed a little bit. Again, September 15th we'll have a more clear number, and then the Turkish thing. And then I'm sure next week we'll have more stuff happening. A few questions that I have asked on Twitter. Zita Toth says, what is your favorite ESC country? I don't have a favorite ESC country. I keep saying that because I feel as almost every country goes through these phases and stages where they send good music according to my taste and then not so good. As most recently, Austria has been my favorite country because they have sent so many good songs, but then for the longest time they were like so that's not a thing. Then Greece in the 2000s was amazing, and now they're kind of just like so you never know. So I don't have one. You have to ask me for like in 5-year portions for me to answer that question. Peter Meyer is asking, how did you get those passes to enter live every time? Is it free because you're kind of a big deal? Yes, I'm totally a big deal. Or how much does it cost to be part of that? Well, I'm not sure what you mean by get those passes. Are you talking about press passes or are you talking about tickets? Tickets, obviously, you buy them or you're part of the OGE. As far as like press, you have to be part of the press, basically. You have to run your own blog, your own kind of outlet, and you have to provide numbers that you're justified for you to get that kind of thing. So you would have to work with the EBU. They have like a application process on their website. Starts late January. So if you think you have like some kind of outlet, you can't just be like, okay, I want to do press this year, but you don't do anything Eurovision related or being part of a significant major news outlet. That's not how it works. Let's see. Onyx Topaz saying, any news about Australia potentially participating in 2019? I actually mentioned that briefly earlier. Again, they need to have a special invitation from the EBU. They'll get it. I don't have an official end statement, but why wouldn't they? They want Australia in there. They're popular. They bring a lot of money, and they bring up the numbers. So, trust me, they'll be back. But it's nothing official. Nothing official. Which artist do you want to return next year? The sneaky hider is asking. I want a lot of people to return, and I always find it very difficult just to answer this without really going down a list. But the first one that comes to mind is Sergei Lazarev from Russia. He was robbed. I love him. I love the song, and I love his music. So I'd love for him to come back and give another shot and win it all. I know people. I'm not even talking about Russia itself. I just love Sergei. What 3 countries deserve to win due to how well they've been in the recent years? Oh, man. Italy. Italy has to win. I mean, they're always, or almost always, doing well. Since the return, they only really flopped once. And they could have won in 2011. They could have won in 2015. Their time will come. They are so powerful. Italy obviously comes to mind. Let me think. Who else? I think Romania needs to win at some point. Even though this year was unfortunate. It wasn't even a bad song this year. It just was slightly unremarkable. They have put forward so many fun entries, and they care so much about Eurovision. I'd love for them to win. And they're trying. They're really trying. And then there are other countries. Malta. They are Eurovision crazy. Yes, they haven't really done well, so maybe that doesn't really apply, but I just love their passion when it comes to Eurovision. Plus, I want to go to Malta really, really, really bad. If there are any other news, by the way, that I didn't address that you want me to really address real quick, we have like a few more minutes. I will do that. These are the ones that came to mind, but let me know if anything else I should address by using @ESCUnited in the chat. What are your most played 2018 songs since the contest? Constantino is saying. Hi, Constantino, first of all. Austria. I listen to that like all the time. That is my number one now. I can officially say I listen to Italy a lot. I listen to Germany a lot. For the first time in years, I'm actually revisiting the German entry. I love Switzerland. That one I listen to. Oh gosh. These are the ones that come to mind right now. What was your most surprising qualifier or non-qualifier? This year, let's talk about this year, the biggest surprise qualifier. Gosh, I need to look at the list. I wouldn't say Ireland was like super surprised. It was more of a pleasant surprise. I didn't have it as a qualifier. So I didn't think I don't think it's going to happen. So when it did, I was thrilled. So I guess that was the biggest surprise, but in a good way. As far as the biggest surprise non-qualifier, this may be a surprise, but I was surprised that Armenia didn't go through. I thought the juries were going to love it, and it's just going to fly through, and they usually, it gets a good amount of points just by default, but that didn't happen this year. So that was the biggest surprise to me. It just didn't click, the song. So that is my answer. Josh Baldwin is saying, do you have a hunch about who will win this year? I know no songs have come out yet, but I just have a feeling that France could win as their selection is amazing. Josh, as you said, your guess is as good as mine. You can only look at how countries are selecting entries and a pattern, right? France really put together a fantastic national final last year. And if it's going to be anything similar to what we saw, I think they can win it again. Sweden is always a contender. Melodifestivalen, love or hate this music, it's very effective. It's very effective how they pick a song. And sometimes it doesn't work with the televoters and all that stuff, right? Lately, they've been always a jury's favorite. But the point is they do it right. So Sweden is always a contender. I think the Netherlands, one of the few countries lately that knows how to pick a song internally. It's always a risk to go internally because you don't know how people will resonate. But the Netherlands somehow figured it out. And so is Austria. So those are the countries that really, really stand out right now. As I pointed out earlier, Greece was doing so well, could have had won so many times. Lately, they're just kind of drifting off, but they'll be back, and that happens all the time. Countries, Sweden went through that phase, like in the late 2000s. They didn't do well, so it always happens. Other than Australia, which non-European country would you like to get an invitation? Um, I will always go by fairness, and by that I mean a country that is trying to take part, not just the EBU invites it. Like the EBU shouldn't just go and be like, let's bring in America. There are a lot of people there. No. I want countries that are at least somewhat closer to Europe, or at least have a connection with Eurovision. So obviously, Kazakhstan comes to mind. I would be definitely rooting for Kazakhstan to be invited. I think, okay, now I'm an American, so I'm allowed to suck at geography. Is any part of Kazakhstan in Europe? I don't think it is, right? No, it's too far. Because I know Russia is, but Kazakhstan is too far over. Okay, I totally outed myself as an ignorant person. Anyway, but I would love for them to come back. ESC Germany, Hallo Deutschland. Which famous star should participate in Eurovision 2019? I don't know. I don't know many famous people in Europe anymore. All I know are people from the UK. Adele. Seriously, I don't know. And there are people that are famous in certain countries that I don't know. I don't know many famous people. I always say, bring back Selko Joksimovic, bring me back a good Balkan ballad, and I'm good to go. But that is, again, just personal. Maybe Ireland could bring a bigger star in. But I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. I have like 2 more minutes or so. Let's answer a few more questions. Sorry, I was stalling here for a second. Do you think Quiero Ser Tua, deserved the final over Valentina over her boring song? Oh man, this is a tough one. I love Valentina, and I almost cried when she qualified because you just wanted to root for her so bad. That being said, I like the Portuguese song better. So technically, just objectively looking at it, my nose is all itchy right now. Yes, I think Portugal would have deserved. I wanted both songs to go through, but only because it's Valentina. Maybe not even the song, so that's the wrong reason for me to root for a song. I'm just being honest. Let's see. Any other questions? Do you think Leona Lewis is a good option for the UK? That's a big name, right? Of course it would be a good option vocally. I mean, she can sing like nobody else. I like her. But again, it's always a risk coming as a big artist in the UK in particular, right? It's different in certain Eastern European countries, but in the UK, you have to perform well, otherwise it is going to look so bad on you. There's a little to gain for her unless she finishes in the top 3. And so I don't know if she would do that. Gosh, what's wrong with my nose? It's super itchy. Maybe I have to sneeze. What are your thoughts of Belgium in the last few years? Belgium, the Netherlands, they are in it to win it. I would love for them to win. It's been a while. For the Netherlands, even longer, right? The last time the Netherlands won, let me see if my Eurovision trivia serves me right. 1975 was the last time the Netherlands won. Belgium in 1986. So technically it's Netherlands' turn, but Belgium only won once. So maybe Belgium. But they are on the right track. Even though they didn't qualify this year, it was still a great song. Okay, 2 more minutes, and then I keep saying 2 more minutes, but I have to be gone within the next few minutes. What did you think about the song Finland they sent in 2015? PKN. I did a reaction video to all Finnish entries. You may want to check it out. Let's just say I was not impressed. It's not for me. It's not for me, I'm afraid. Let's see, 2 more questions now, and then I'm done. I swear, I gotta go. Because I know we all have stuff to do. Your favorite joke entry in Eurovision, Marco66 Mark says, joke is always loosely based, but I will have to say Ukraine 2007. I still love that song. I listen to it all the time when I'm down. I put on Dancing Lasha Tombai. It's hilarious. It's catchy. It's just well executed. Love, love, love that one. Okay, Charlotte Carson said, who were your favorite people to meet at Eurovision and why? That is tough. This is one thing I will say about Eurovision artists. For the most part, there are exceptions. There are always exceptions to the rule. But most of them are so friendly, down to earth, and just so excited to be part of such a big program. A lot of them are just regular people, working a daytime job and then do Eurovision. There are some other bigger acts, but even then, it's great. I would have to go for every year. In 2014, for instance, May Feingold, I just remember her being so nice. She came, in the interview room, she was so sweet, and then she gave me this big hug. I just loved her so much. She was just a very, very warm person. Sergei Lazarev was so sweet. Like, he is so soft-spoken, and he's such a big star in Russia, yet he was so humble, and I really, really just was drawn to that. I loved Zoe from Austria. She was just so energetic. I loved her. Who else did I love to meet? Oh gosh, Havik from Cyprus last year. He was so funny. Oh my god, some people are just underappreciated. So, I loved him as well. So, yes, that is some of my favorites were that there are so many of them. So some people, I see a lot of questions asked you about if Germany will be back. Germany already confirmed participation. They will be back. Don't you worry. So, one last question. Kim Tolley, do you think the UK will split into England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland? No. Not in Eurovision anytime soon. The only reason why it's happening in Junior Eurovision, in case you don't know, Wales is now taking part in Junior Eurovision. No England, no Scotland, no Northern Ireland is because the UK is not taking part as a whole. So therefore, Wales can take part. If the UK, for some reason, decides to be like, as a union, we're no longer going to take part, then maybe. But I just don't see that happening. So what's going to happen next week, just for you guys to be aware, I will do the next live stream. We'll talk about the news. We may or may not have a guest here. I have to see who is available. And we're just going to keep doing that. Every week we're going to talk about Eurovision, what's happening. And as the season continues, we'll get more and more stuff to talk about. But there's always stuff to talk about. All I'm trying to do is help you with the PED. There's nothing worse than PED, right? And we're getting closer. Keep in mind, September 1st is the magical day. September 1st is the day when the songs that are being released are eligible to take part in Eurovision. You cannot release a song prior to September 1st. So if, let's say, Adele releases a song on September 2nd, you can start the rumors. Yes, that's exactly how it goes. So, I will be back next week. Look out for the link. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, and we'll talk more about Eurovision next week. And this whole live stream will evolve over time. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. And I will see you all soon. Have a good night, and hit subscribe. Hit subscribe, you fools. Thank you. Goodbye.